Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matt. Welcome to the Sin Bin, and I just wanted to talk about a few topics that I really deem to be interesting, especially if you're a Canadiens fan, and that is 1. Rasmus Ristolainen potentially requesting a trade out of Buffalo, and 2. Just a few minor updates on the whole Puljujarvi situation. The reason why I'm not making individual videos for both of these separate topics is because I don't think there's quite enough info to merit its own video. So that being said, I'm mashing them both together. Enough chit chat, let's just jump right in. And to open up this video, why don't we talk about the whole Ristolainen debacle? So, in case you guys haven't heard, Ristolainen recently had an interview with MTV Sports in Europe, and if you were to translate his thoughts, you could see that he was very unhappy about the way things were going in Buffalo. In fact, if I quote, he says, "I cannot say anything other than the fact that on the 12th of September, I will be at one of the NHL team's training camp." He goes on to say, "I haven't been able to help the team win," Ristolainen said. "Recent seasons have been tough, and I haven't been able to enjoy hockey." So in case you guys didn't know, let me just give you guys a quick reminder. Ristolainen, he's a 24-year-old defenseman. He shoots right. I believe he plays on the right side too. He has 3 years left on his contract, and he carries a cap hit of $5.4 million per season, which I might add is a very digestible cap hit, considering what you're getting as a player, in my opinion. So I put in the title, should the Canadiens go after Ristolainen? Should they trade for him? He's unhappy. Is this the key opportunity to go after a potential top 4 defenseman? And that's kind of a loaded question. For one, some might say the Montreal Canadiens are not even discussing. I include them in everything. Every big name, I'll include the Canadiens because they're my favorite team, and I would like to see how that addition of that player could affect the team. Second of all, it's a loaded question because with Ristolainen, there's a lot of positives and there's a lot of negatives with this player. Let me start with the positives because I'm a really positive person. I like to go outside running with the butterflies and the tulips and the sunshine, and I don't know where I'm getting at. But let me start with the positives when it comes to Ristolainen. He's young, 24 years old. In my opinion, that's young. Some might say otherwise, but he's relatively young. He's 6'4", 215 pounds. This isn't a small boy. This is a big guy. He's of NHL size. That's for sure. And at defense, you really want to have that big size. And to go with it, he's a pretty good skater, considering he's 6'4". He's also a really skilled player. You don't get drafted number 8 overall in the first round if you don't have a baseline of skill. So that's what I think of Ristolainen. Those are some of the positives. Now, let me go to some of the negative sides that are making me say this player is a little bit too risky. And that is, first of all, Ristolainen in, let me just count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons with the Buffalo Sabres. He's never been a plus player. He's always been a negative player. In fact, throughout his whole career, there was only one time that he wasn't a negative player, and I'm talking about junior and everything. His first year of junior, that's the only time he wasn't a negative player, and he got a 0. So it's not, technically it's not a plus, it's not a negative, he got 0. And some might say, hey, plus and negatives, that's a bullshit stat. The people who say that, they're only saying it if they're trying to prove a point, if it supports their point or not. I think that there is some merit to the plus minus, but regardless what you think of it, his plus minuses are epically high. I mean, last year he got a -41. I think, don't quote me on this, I think that's top 10 worst in the whole league, a -41. And I get you're on a bad team. We'll get to that a little later. Excuse me. Sorry, guys, got a little shit in my throat. So he's a -41. He is not the best defensively. If I were to categorize Ristolainen, I would put him more of a offensive defenseman, in my opinion. He will get you in that 40 to 50 point range. That's for sure. But he won't give you the best defense, in my opinion. Another good thing, positives. I know I said I was done with the positives, but he's a pretty physical guy. 6'4", 215. That's a physical guy. And if you look at his penalty minutes throughout the years, that kind of supports that he's a pretty physical player. He won't shy away from physicality. I think that for the Canadiens, though, I would not go after Ristolainen. First of all, he's a right-handed defenseman. They're already stacked on that position. They got Petrie, they got Weber. I mean, you're not going to play Ristolainen on your third pairing. So I don't think, just looking at that fact, I don't think it's worth it. But some might say, because there are some people out there that are stubborn, some might say, well, look at Ryan O'Reilly. O'Reilly was a player that was unhappy with Buffalo. And he had a change of scenery, and he had a change of heart, and he ended up winning the Stanley Cup in St. Louis. So people will say maybe if Ristolainen has that change of scenery and comes to Montreal, maybe his play will become better. He will have an increase in play, and he will be that defenseman that the Buffalo Sabres thought they were drafting. And to them, I will say there might be some truth to that, but in the past years, Ristolainen said himself, he's been a part of that failing Buffalo Sabres team. You could say what you want. The Sabres haven't been winning in the past years, and he was somewhat at the helm of that ship. He was their top pairing defenseman, and if they were losing, I think that reflects more on Ristolainen than the Buffalo Sabres, to be honest, in my opinion. So I don't really use that as an excuse. I don't think that if he comes to Montreal, he'll all of a sudden become Nicholas Lidstrom here. So that's pretty much what I had to say about Rasmus Ristolainen. The Canadiens, I haven't heard any rumors of them talking to his agent or anything like that. This is more me exploring the idea. But if you're a Canadiens fan, I wouldn't expect this to happen, really. This is kind of a far-fetched. Just wanted to make a quick video. And hey, if you guys think otherwise, if you think Ristolainen is a great addition to the Canadiens, please let me know why in the comments. But for me, he's just a little too risky. Not the best defenseman out there. I wouldn't go dabbling with Ristolainen. If you're going to waste your time on a defenseman, go after a left-handed one at least. So let's move on to our next topic, and that involves Mr. Jesse Puljujarvi. So I made a video about Jesse Puljujarvi. It got a lot of clicks. I really appreciate that, guys. Got a lot of likes. I appreciate that also. But there was kind of a little bit of controversy surrounding that. But before I get to that, let me just summarize what I said in that video. So I said that Jesse Puljujarvi wants out of Edmonton. Fact. He does not want to be there anymore. He wants a change of scenery. I said that Montreal is a good destination for him, given their Finnish core, given the fact that he still has a lot of talent, and given the fact of the paying price. Now, some people agreed with me. That's fine. Some people disagreed with me. And hey, that's also fine. Hockey is subjective to some point. There is going to be some disagreement. But let me make this clear. Let me make this abundantly clear. If Jesse Puljujarvi hasn't succeeded in Edmonton yet, if he's yet to make his marks as the 4th overall pick in Edmonton, that is 95% Jesse Puljujarvi's fault. Make it 90. That is 90 to 95% Jesse Puljujarvi's fault. You didn't work hard enough. You didn't get any results. That's the way it works. Now, I had some comments such as, such as this guy right here, Chewy LTD, who says, you really have not done your homework on this player. But I am sure the Oilers would love to eradicate him due to his poor attitude. Him not wanting to go down to the minors and thinks he's God gifts of hockey. A lot of this is attitude. So let me make this clear, Chewy LTD. You don't know how much homework I put into these videos. So don't come here and tell me, have I done homework, have I not done homework? Fuck you. I've done your mother. Okay? He goes on to say, if he was that good, his points and skill would be noticed. He, after all, has played with McDavid and Draisaitl. Every ask why Columbus passed on him, sure, trade a first-round pick. That is what Edmonton is asking. Then deal with the same attitude while paying him the money. So again, let me make this clear in case it wasn't clear in my initial video. If Jesse Puljujarvi hasn't made it in the league this far, it is his fault. In the end, it is his fault. I think there are some factors that didn't help, but in the end, it is his fault. Now, a lot of people, they also correct me in the comments, which I'm actually glad of. They said the Oilers, they're looking for a first rounder in exchange for Jesse Puljujarvi. Well, of course they're going to want a first rounder. They're not going to say, hey, come and give me a 5th rounder. They're going to set the bar high. They're going to have a really high starting point. It's like when you go to a strip club and you ask the girl, hey, I want a VIP dance. Take me to the back room. I want a VIP dance. She's going to say, okay, well, let's discuss price. She's going to start at $500. And then you're going to say, hey, girl, you're out of your fucking mind. There's no way I'm paying for that. You have saggy boobs. You stink from the pussy. I'm paying you $300. So then we meet somewhere there. It may be $450, maybe $400. I'm not speaking from experience. This is just theoretical. It's the same with Jesse Puljujarvi. They're asking for a 1st rounder. It's not going to end up being that. If I will swallow my words. I will make a video about it online. It's probably going to be somewhere in the vicinity of a 2nd rounder, maybe a B grade prospect along with it. So, you know what, Chewy LTD? You can't put words in my mouth. You can't say I haven't done my homework. I've done my homework. What else does this goof say? Yada, yada, yada. There's a reason why he's heading back. Yes, they do have leverage to play in Finland. And no, the loss to Edmonton cannot improve cost his fans. Okay, so he says that playing in Finland, that will improve his value if he plays good. Now, that's a big if, first of all. And even if he does play amazing, even if he's the Finnish Wayne Gretzky, if he goes out there and lights it up, it's going to improve his value, yes. Not a super great deal because it is the Finnish league first. It's not the NHL. It's not a step down. It's 2 steps down from the NHL. So yeah, it's all fun and dandy that you're playing good in the Finnish league. But how do you suit in the NHL? Track record shows that you haven't really suited well. So there you go, Jesse Puljujarvi. Now, let me just finish off with this comment right here. And the Finland excuse, what do you call Koskinen, a Swede? There's a reason why Jesse is not in the NHL. And that is Jesse. He has a very bad attitude. That's the only thing I'm going to agree with you with. There's a reason why he's not there, and it's Jesse. But there are some other factors. And what you bring about Koskinen, that's true. He's a Finn. Hey, he came last year. Jesse Puljujarvi's been in the league 3 years. You can't make that point if he just came last year. Where was he when he started? You know, a lot of players like this, they need he's a hothead. Let's face it, he's a hothead. They need someone to take them under his wing. And I think that having a Finnish veteran could have helped a lot. Also, given the fact that he doesn't speak much English. That's just my opinion. Now, there's an article that was released. Let me see if I could find it right here. There's an article that was released. It was in the Edmonton Journal. A very good site. And they're kind of exploring the whole Jesse Puljujarvi situation. And obviously, we know how he wants to trade out of Edmonton. They're exploring, how did it get to this point? How did it really get to the point where Jesse Puljujarvi is where he is? And if I were to read some of the article, it's really interesting. It says, it has been described to me by multiple sources close to the team how Todd McLellan invested hours upon hours into trying to unlock Puljujarvi when he first arrived in Edmonton. One of Todd's frustrations was Jesse's inconsistency in getting to the net. There, the player's size and skill combination could be a real factor. When Puljujarvi would do this and was successful, Todd would not miss the opportunity to praise him. He would point out how positioning on the play was critical, but then the next shift, Puljujarvi would stubbornly appear back on the perimeter again. Todd got frustrated. And, you know, I really wish I had read this article before, because I don't get to see much Edmonton Oilers games, in my defense, but seeing that he's that big and he's that skilled of a player and he still plays on the perimeter is kind of a turnoff. It's a turnoff. It's like that stripper that I described. It's a turnoff. You want to see someone like that use his speed, go right straight to the net. The article goes on to say that part of McLean's struggle was that he was often in the position of being the bad cop on the staff. Perhaps a good complementary step would be to assign to a coach to Puljujarvi, whose job would be to make Jesse catch the right things. So this past fall, Manny Viveros was brought in. One of his key assignments was to attach himself to young Finn, which he did, but Manny didn't even make it as much progress as McLellan did. And remember, Viveros has a reputation of being able to connect with today's players. Observers say It was if advice would go on in one ear, it would come out of the other. So I stand a little bit corrected in the sense that he did have a Finnish coach with him. They brought a coach on board to help him individually, and that still didn't help. So he is somewhat of a stubborn player. Again, he hasn't made it in the league. It is mostly his fault. He's a stubborn kid. This article is really interesting. I'm going to put it in the description, guys. But it also said that Puljujarvi, he had trouble to connect with some of his teammates on the ice. When he was on the power play, he seemed to be bumping into everyone, which is not a good sign if you're a hockey player. So I just wanted to reassess some of my thoughts of Puljujarvi. I would still like to see the Canadiens make a move for him depending on the price. No, I don't think that he's going to get a first rounder. The Edmonton Oilers are going to ask for a lot. That's natural. They're doing business. But if it's for the right price, I think that it's worth the risk. He is a high risk though, because as this article states, he's just been really, really stubborn over the years, and even bringing in a Finnish coach didn't help. So all I'm thinking is that maybe a change of scenery, maybe that's the last hope, maybe that's the light at the end of the tunnel, but still, hey, I don't know. So, guys, I know this was a little all over the place. I'm an emotional person. I speak from emotion. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, nevertheless. If you guys like it, you can press the like button, you can subscribe for more, you can comment, say why you disagree. And as usual, my name is Matt. Keep your stick on the ice.